Now I can teach you about suspended chords. So, what is a suspended chord first of all? They're not chords that just like hanging around a lot. So first of all you need to know what a triad is. Now, and triads are not Asian dudes with machine guns in a musical sense. So what we're talking about here is a triad that is a 3-note chord. Triad, prefix for 3, so it's a 3-note chord. 3-note chords consist of a root note, a third and a fifth, which is really the first note, the third note and the fifth note of a major scale. Now it's the third note of a triad that determines whether the chord is major or minor. So if we were to have a look at, say, an A chord, the notes in A would be A, B, C would be the third, D, E. Now actually, because the key signature of the note C would be a C sharp to make an A major chord. But if you just go and play now an A chord, an A major chord, and then you straight away afterwards play an A minor chord, you'll notice that only one note is different, and that's the C sharp on the B string, 2nd fret, moves to the C natural note in the 1st fret. So it is in fact only one note every time that changes between a major and a minor chord. Sometimes that note's doubled in your chord voicings just to warn you, it's not just like one note on the guitar. Harmonically it's one note that changes. Now, suspended chords take away the third of the chord and replace it with another note. So therefore suspended chords are neither major or minor, and they have a very airy sound. So if I just give you some demonstration, here's A major, all happy sounding A major. Now if I move that, the third of the chord, which was the note C sharp, if I move that up one semitone to D, we now have an A sus4 sound. Here it's kind of hovering, it is kind of hanging about a bit, that one. Then we go back to A. Now if I lift off my little finger now, which is kind of going down, that note down 2 frets, because if I go down just one it gets to the minor chord, we get an A sus2 chord. So we've got now A sus4, A, and A sus2. Quite a simple movement. Now, if I'm not doing close-ups here of the chords because there's quite a few chords and a few songs that I'm going to go through in this lesson. So please go and check out the chords at www.JustinGuitar.com. You click on chords, which is on the left hand side, or chords and scales I think it says actually, and then in the top group there's suspended chords. It shouldn't be very difficult for you to find them, and it explains all the different fingering choices as well, so please go and check that out. So that was A chord. You can hear we had A, very common sound, so that's the A chord. Now if we moved on to D, play a regular D chord, then we add our little finger down, that's D sus4, back to regular D, lift off our second finger, we get D sus2, and then back to D. Now, just using those two types of chord shapes there, I can show you a couple of the different ways it was used. The first way you use suspended chords is as an ornament, is to kind of decorate when you're playing. So if you've got D chord for ages and ages and you just want to do something a little bit different to it, then it just, you know, if you've got this, you start to get a bit bored, you can just kind of add them in whenever you like, and they work over major and minor chords. I'll show you some tricks on that in a sec. Some famous examples I can think of off the top of my head was old song from the 80s or early 90s, Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi's got a really nice example right at the beginning where he goes, just a little decoration on the D chord there. Another good example is Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams. It's actually a keyboard part, but that whole song is doing yeah, so it starts on D, sus2, D, sus4, D, sus2, D, and then it goes to A sus2, A regular, A sus4, A. So you can see then in that instance it's kind of using the suspended chord as a riff, not just as an ornament. So far we've talked about D major and then going to the sus, and A major going to the sus. Now like I said, it also works for minor chords. So if we start with a D minor chord, add little finger, you get D sus4 again, back to D minor, and then lift off your first finger, and and you get D sus2. So the sus4 and the sus2 are the same, just we've put a minor in the middle instead of a major. Some good examples of using that one for both the D minor and the A minor is Losing My Religion by REM, where it's got this little you can hear very clearly that he's used the suspended chords to kind of make a riff. Also the Rolling Stones song Paint It Black kind of uses it on the D minor at the beginning. Then it changes a bit for that last part. Very last bit's a bit different, but the first part of it is the sus chords. So that's taking care of D sus4 and D sus2, A sus4 and A sus2. If we go on to E now, we have a regular E chord. If we put down the little finger on the underneath the third finger, we get E sus4 and back to E. Now we can't get, there's no such chord as an E sus2 chord in an open position. I mean there kind of is later on, but for you right now there's not. Because if we lift off the first finger, we get to E minor, not E sus2. Yeah? So you can play it like this, like a big bar chord later on, but that's not the one for you right now. But there's quite a few tunes that use the E sus4. Another good example of that one is It's Only Natural by Crowded House, which is E sus4, then to A sus4 to A sus4 to A, and back to E. Then goes into bar chords for the rest of the tune, but the verses, you can hear it's kind of using it like a riff, but it's not really a riff, it's just a decoration. Now, the only other ones that I think that are kind of useful for you to learn as a starting one is maybe a C sus. Now C is a bit weird because remember I told you that sometimes you have to change the third of a chord to make a suspended chord. Well, in the case of a C open chord, we've got the note E, which is the third of the chord. It occurs twice. So what I'm just going to show you is a nice kind of decoration, but it's not really a true C suspended chord because you might hit the first string. There's more of that on the website. But just if you start with C, put down your little finger in front of your second finger underneath your third. You get C sus4, back to C, lift off your second finger, and you get a C sus2, back to C, which is just a really nice change. You can hear it's just got a kind of comfortable, easy feeling for some rhythm guitar. So, okay, that'll do for now. If you want to check out some more suspended chords, I think every open suspended chord I could think of is on the website, so go and check that out. And then try and apply them to any songs that you've got where you've got a chord for a long time. See if you can incorporate some of those suspended chords in to make your rhythm guitar playing a little more interesting. Have fun. See you soon. Bye.